Hi, I'm Father Anthony Hannon from Enviam Patches Retreats. I'm a priest with the Catholic Archdiocese of Ottawa, Canada. This is the second video in a series of videos on the requirements or expectations of candidates to receive the sacraments in the Holy Catholic Church. And this video is about baptism for children under the age of 7. The Church teaches that a baby ought to be baptized as soon after their birth as is reasonably possible. So a few days, few weeks, few months, this type of thing. Should not be put off indefinitely. However, the Church also teaches that the priest or the deacon or the bishop who will baptize your child in the Catholic Church must have a founded hope that the child will be brought up in the practice of the Catholic faith. That means a reasonable or a realistic hope that your child will be brought up in the practice of the Catholic faith. So remember, parents, in the first video, in the introductory video, I mentioned to you that you are the primary educators of your children. And this applies most definitely to the handing on of the Catholic faith. So I will get a phone call from time to time, when I was in a parish that is. I would get a phone call asking if I would baptize their baby. And I would say, of course, and I need to ask a few questions. First of all, is your baby healthy? I wanted to know that because if the baby was not healthy, then I would just run over to the person's house or the hospital or wherever they were, and I would baptize them right away. No questions asked, nothing, no worries. Done. If a baby is, or anyone is in danger of death, we baptize them, no questions asked. If the baby is healthy, then I say, well, can I ask you a few questions? So normally I don't know the person when they're phoning, the mother or the father, usually the mother. So I say, well, where do you attend Mass regularly? And usually they say, oh, actually I don't go to Mass. Is that a problem? Well, the only thing is I need a founded hope that the child will be brought up in the practice of the Catholic faith. So if you're not going to Mass, which is the bare minimum for a Catholic to be a practicing Catholic, where is my hope? Because it doesn't say faint hope. You must have a faint hope that the child will be brought up in the Catholic faith. It says a founded hope, a realistic, reasonable hope. So if you have not been going to Mass and you're Catholic, I need you to start coming to Mass. Perhaps they will say, oh, I go to Mass at such and such a parish. Oh, okay, great. Do you live in that parish boundary? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, well, I need a letter of permission from your parish priest to baptize your child in this parish. It's just the way it is, okay? Parishes are set up into boundaries and everything like that. So there's certain jurisdictions that we have to deal with. And normally a priest will say no problem. I might ask that if you live and practice in another parish, that you do the baptismal preparation at that parish rather than the parish that I'm at. Even if you do not practice your faith, but you reside in another parish, that would be my preference, that you would receive your baptismal preparation in the parish where you reside, even though you don't practice there, before you would have your baby baptized in another parish. And to be quite frank with you, I would hope that for whatever reason you want to have your baby baptized in another parish, that you'll change your mind before the baptismal date. That you'll get to know the people at that parish, start going to Mass at that parish, and have your baby baptized in the parish that you will practice in. A person should receive the sacraments, right, in the parish that they practice in. Okay. This video is not going to be primarily about the theological aspects or benefits or effects of the sacrament of baptism. Rather, the very practical things that need to be done. So the first thing is start going to Mass so that the priest has a reasonable hope that your child will be brought up in the faith. The second thing is you need to choose a godparent for your child. Your child may have two godparents. If you have two godparents for your child, one must be female, one must be male. You can't have two godmothers or two godfathers. One godmother, one godfather. Secondly, the person you choose to be, or persons you choose to be the godparents of your child must be practicing Catholics who have received the sacrament of confirmation themselves in the Catholic Church. They must be practicing Catholics. They go to Mass every Sunday and holy days of obligation, which is in Canada, Christmas and New Year's. And they must not be living a life that contradicts the teachings of the Church in faith and morals. For example, they must not be living in a common law relationship. In other words, living with another person as though they were married, although they are not married. That's called fornication. That's a serious sin. If someone dies without repenting of that, they risk not going to heaven. There's only other one place to go. It's a very serious thing. Also, your godparent, who is a baptized Catholic and confirmed Catholic, okay, they must not be living in a marriage, or we would call it an attempted marriage actually, that was presided over by a justice of the peace or a minister of some other religion, or even a Protestant minister. In exceptional cases, a person might be able to get married by a minister might be able to receive the vows of a Catholic party, and it would be a valid marriage. But to do that, they need prior permissions, dispensations from the bishop of the diocese or from his office, from his chancery. So to make sure that your godparent is a practicing Catholic who has received the sacrament of confirmation, not living in an adulterous or fornicating relationship, what we do is we ask the potential godparent to contact their parish of baptism, so wherever they were baptized, and ask them to forward me a copy, or the priest of the parish where the baby is going to be baptized, a recent copy of their baptismal certificate with notations. It cannot be a photocopy of a baptismal certificate that's handed on to them from their parents when they were baptized as a little baby. It must be a recent baptismal certificate issued within the last 6 months. I also then would ask that a potential godparent would contact their parish priest and ask them to send me a note directly, not through them, directly, so I can confirm it. I'm going to call back the parish priest and talk to them. And I need to know that they indeed are practicing Catholics. If you're having trouble finding a godparent for your child because you want to have someone in your family and none of them are practicing their faith or something like this, you don't know any practicing Catholics. Well, first of all, when you start coming to Mass, you're going to meet some people. Or tell the priest you want to meet some people. The priest will help you. He will find some people, maybe your age or similar situation, who are practicing Catholics. And then you can get a godparent that way. Okay? I realize this is not what many people think godparents are. A godparent is not a legal guardian in case something happens to you. If you want a legal guardian in case something happens to you, God forbid, then you contact a lawyer and you make those arrangements. That's not what a godparent does. Godparent will have no legal rights, at least in Canada, to say, well, now I'm taking care of those children or that child. No, it won't happen. Okay? Godparent is something else. A godparent is someone who is going to assist, at least by example, at least by good example, but hopefully also, be with the child as they grow up, as your child grows up, to show them how to practice their faith, how to live it out on a day-to-day basis. Ideally, your godparent or godparents would also be your sponsors at your child's confirmation later on, in years ahead. Right? And they can tell them they can explain to them how to go to confession, how to receive communion, all those things. A godparent will assist you parents in carrying out your responsibilities to pass on the faith. In the baptismal ceremony, you will be asked a series of questions. Primarily, the first thing you'll be asked twice, do you want your child to be baptized in the Catholic Church? The first time you'll be asked, what do you ask of the church? And you're to answer baptism. And later, just before the baptism actually occurs, the pouring or the submersion of your child in water, pouring of water over, or the submersion of your child, you'll be asked, do you want your child to be baptized? Why do we ask this again? Well, you are kind of imposing on your child certain responsibilities. And two of them I've already mentioned. That your child is to attend Mass every Sunday. Secondly, and when they're old enough to go to Mass by themselves, they have to do that on their own, so you need to train them. The second thing is, if they're to be married someday, they need to be married in the Catholic Church, or it's not a valid marriage, as I've explained. There are other things that you're going to be committing your child or your children to. And so one of them is when they reach the age of 14, they must abstain from meat on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. And in the Archdiocese of Ottawa, also every Friday during Lent. And when they reach 18, they must fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. So you're basically promising this children, you're acting on their behalf, and you're putting all of these kind of obligations on them for the future. So you need to know that. Also, you will be asked to answer for yourself and on behalf of your child, that you are renouncing the devil. You have to turn away from sin. And you need to practice your faith. And you are going to make an act of faith, which is in the form of the Apostles' Creed in question form. So you will be asked, do you believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth? And you say, I do. And you'll be asked, do you believe in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell, and the third day he rose again from the dead. He ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. From there he will come to judge the living and the dead. You say, I do. And then you'll be asked, do you believe in the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting? And you'll say, I do. And then you will be asked, is it your will that your child will be baptized in the Catholic Church? And you'll say, it is. And then the priest, the deacon, or the bishop will baptize your child. Anyway, those are the requirements. With regards to the godparents, you need to assent your will. You need to make that decision that you believe in what the church teaches. It doesn't mean you have to understand everything. It doesn't mean you have to be a theologian. But you assent your will. You say, yes, I believe. And then you promise to bring up your children in the Catholic faith. Now, some of you might be asking, well, what if I'm in one of those common law relationships? What if, I'm in an invalid marriage, right? An unlawful marriage. This is my dog. Okay, Vicar, you're interrupting this video. Do you think I should edit you out? Okay. I don't think it's supper time yet. Get down. Why don't you sit? Why don't you sit and stay and be quiet for a second, okay? Okay. Right, you might say, okay, I'm in a common law relationship or I'm in an unlawful marriage. Well, talk to your priest. We'll see if we can get those things remedied. We have a general principle, we don't punish the children for the sins of the parents. But this is an opportunity for you to really change your life and to get it on track. Okay? God is with you. We're on your side. We're not trying to make things difficult. But, as long as you show some indication, then we're happy to baptize your child. Okay, enough for now. God bless you, and Viam Patches.